conviction in that brutal rape case out of Vanderbilt University. A former football player found guilty on all counts in the 2013 attack on a classmate. The case is drawing comparisons to the recent Stanford University rape case. We'll get into that in a moment, where many say a top college athlete was let off too easy. But more on this case. ABC's Mara Schiavocampo with us. Mara?
David, good morning. The defendant in the Vanderbilt case now faces a minimum of 15 years in prison compared to the Stanford case, where Brock Turner got just 6 months. So with the cases so strikingly similar, some are wondering why the sentences are not.
Guilty of aggravated rape.
A jury finds former Vanderbilt University football player guilty in the rape of an unconscious woman in his dorm room nearly 3 years ago. 23-year-old Brandon Vandenburg found guilty on all counts of aggravated rape and sexual battery, which carries a prison sentence between 15 and 25 years. The victim, who was close to Vandenburg, nodding in the courtroom as the verdict was read. This moment, the culmination of 3 trials over 3 years.
The next thing I remember is waking up in an unfamiliar room around 8 a.m. the next morning.
The case grabbed national attention after Vandenburg and 3 of his teammates were accused of sexually assaulting a fellow student in a college dorm room after a night of drinking. Vandenburg and teammate Corey Beatty convicted in 2015, but a judge declared a mistrial after one of the jurors did not disclose that he had been raped. The trial, one of the first to highlight the issue of widespread sexual assaults on college campuses. Earlier this month, outrage over former Stanford swimmer Brock Turner, sentenced to just 6 months in a county jail after being convicted of sexually assaulting an unconscious woman.
Alcohol played a big role in both of these cases. So you had both girls who were unconscious because they had been drinking, and both of the defendants used alcohol as an excuse as a part of their defense.
Now, Vandenburg is still waiting for a sentencing date. Beatty, the other convicted player, will be sentenced in July, and the other 2 players allegedly involved are still waiting trial, and they have both pleaded not guilty. David?
All right, Mara, thanks. Let's get right to ABC News Chief Legal Analyst Dan Abrams, who's back with us this morning. And Dan, you know, he's not accused and never was of physically attacking the victim, but encouraging all the others to do so. And under the law, that essentially is the same thing.
That's the same thing. That is rape under the law. And in fact, he was convicted of multiple counts of aggravated rape. And yet another defendant, who was one of the ones who actually physically participated, was only convicted of 1 count of aggravated rape. 2 different juries. But the bottom line is, under the law, he's facing up to 15 years as a minimum, even though, as you point out, he wasn't physically involved. The fact that he was allegedly the ringleader, he set this up, he encouraged this, that's legal culpability.
So 15 years minimum. Does that depend on the state you're in? Because we've been covering the Stanford case, of course, and Brock Turner. So much outrage that he got a 6-month sentence. How could they be so different?
Yeah, and you can argue that there are factual similarities, but as a legal matter, they're totally different. A, the state laws are totally different. B, there are questions of what they could actually prove in the Turner case, which is different. So in that case, he was facing a maximum of up to 14 years. Prosecutors recommended 6 years. Here, he's facing a minimum of 15 years. So totally different cases, and I don't think there's any way that he's going to walk away with less than a 15-year sentence.
All right. Dan Abrams, always good to have you.